This is The Lay Witness with host Dwayne Lynch and music by Jim Fullingham. The Lay Witness is a program about people and their day-to-day walk with the Lord. Now, here is your host, Dwayne Lynch.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Dwayne Lynch.
And I'm Jim Fullingham.
And we'd like to welcome you to today's program, The Lay Witness. You know, we have a delightful guest with us today. Her name is Edith Ervin. Maybe I should say Mrs. Edith Ervin.
Mrs. George.
Mrs. George Ervin.
Right.
From Abilene, Texas. And Mrs. George Edith Ervin, welcome.
Glad to be here.
We're happy to have you with us. You know, I've not been with you in a long, long time, and I tell you, you're still just the delightful, bubbling individual that I always knew.
Well, you seem more mature to me than you were when I met you.
There has been time.
There really was.
Yeah. You know, Edith, so that people might get to know you just a little bit better, in terms of kids, tell us about your kids.
Well, I do have an unusual story on that. Yes. We have 3 sons, and Scott is 33, and Stuart is 33, and Stephen is 33. They're triplets.
That makes it unusual.
Yes, it really does. And I'm 39.
That can't
Isn't that
be.
cute? Yes, I'm 39, yes.
Well, we're going to get into your life, what Jesus has been doing in your life. And but first, I want the folks to hear a song that Jim Fullingham is going to sing. It's called Let Me Live. And you're going to like this. Here's Jim.
Let him always walk beside me. Let him take my hand and guide me. Let me live in the light of his love. To a heart that's filled with sadness, he can touch it and turn it to gladness. If I live in the light of his love, let me live for the joy that life can give. Oh, let it shine like the sun up above. Yes, I want to feel every ray, every night and every day. Let me live in the light of his love. Now when my soul is heavy laden, seems like all my dreams are fading. I want to live in the light of his love. Till I reach that great tomorrow, where there'll be no pain or no sorrow. I want to live in the light of his love. Let me live for the joy that life can give. Oh, let it shine like the sun up above. Yes, Lord, I want to feel every ray, every night and every day. Let me live in the light of his love. Let me live, Lord, Lord, for the joy that life can give. Well, let it shine, yes, Lord, like the sun up above. Yes, I want to feel every ray, every night and every day. Well, let me live in the light of his love. Let me live, well, let me live for the joy that life can give. Oh, yes, well, let it shine like the sun up above. I wanna feel, come on, Lord, every ray, every night and every day. Let me live in the light of your love. Let me live for the joy that life can give. Oh, let it shine.
You know when they start again?
Yes, yes. I'm going to tell you, if that doesn't get us started, Edith, I don't know what will. Huh?
Is that right?
I tell you, old socialite, you tell us about you. Hmm?
Oh, it's not really very important, Dwayne, but you know how I used to be. I got married and was married a long time before we ever had children, and my husband and I were both in the Air Force, and that was a lot of fun. But then we moved where we live now for the first time, and I guess if I'm honest, I would say I was a social climber, but I didn't know it. You know, when I was 12 years old, I really was saved, and I knew it. But I thought that was all there was to it. And as I was listening to Jim, I thought, that is what I want to do. I want to live while I'm alive. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do, even at my age. I'm alive because I'm living, because I'm in Christ, and I know that. But, you know, I haven't always known that. When I was young, as I said, I was a social climber. And if I had a title to anything I might say to anybody, I would have to say, I didn't know that I didn't know. But I knew I was saved, and that was all there was to it. Because I went to church every day, and I went to Sunday school all my life. I don't think I ever missed in my life, and I saw to it that my children did and everything. But then, you know, a lot of things came along there, and I suppose I belonged to everything in town, and what I didn't belong to, I organized. I really did, because, you know, if I organized it, I could get in on the ground floor and maybe be chairman of the group. And at one time, I was chairman of several groups at the same time, and one of my sisters asked me if I knew how dumb it was, and I could see that she was right and everything. But, you know, before this started, you asked me if I'd ever been on television, and I said I'd never spoken on television, but since we've been sitting here, I've thought that's a story. I'll tell you how it happened. One time I was at church, and I stood up, and I wanted to say something that was very important to me, and I was so scared I cried. So I heard that there were some women in Abilene who wanted to organize a Toastmasters Club. And I thought, you know, if I organize that, I can be chairman. And, you know, I get my picture in the paper and a few little things like that. And so I organized that club, and other people helped, of course, but, you know, I kind of ramrodded it. And after a while, we started having contests, and the grace of God was working in my life, even though I wasn't aware of it. And we had so many contests, and I would win one after another, and I wasn't a good speaker, so it had to be the Lord himself just getting me ready for something so I'd have the nerve to even talk to you today. You know, no matter how frightening it is. It would have been a lot more fun, probably, to stay home and listen to as the world turns, but this excites me because I like to talk. Yeah. And anyhow, I organized this club, and I kept winning until finally I won the top #1 place to go to an international contest. And before I left, there was a woman in our church who gave me a girdle. It was a rubber girdle, you know, you never did wear one, but, you know, like a bathing cap, only it had perforations in it. And every time I would put it on, I'd swell in between the holes. But I wanted to look skinny on the stage, and it was when television was first starting. And here there were 3,000 women out on the stage, and it was my turn to talk, and I had on this girdle. And so I had my 10-minute prepared speech, and I knew I'd won because I'd practiced in front of the mirror so much. Yeah. So then it was my turn to step 2 steps back and pull a title out of a hat to tell me what I was to speak on, and then I was to start talking immediately. And it was your most exciting moment. Well, unless you've had triplet sons, you don't know how exciting it is to nurse them for a year. So I got so excited, you know, I wasn't thinking, I wasn't in the Lord's will, except he had my life anyhow. But I wasn't asking him what he wanted me to do. But anyhow, I stepped back, and I was showing off. I thought it was so cute. I had on a hat in those days. You're not old enough to know when women wore hats. But I stepped back, and oh, I was the cutest thing you've ever seen, I thought. And as I stepped back to show them how I moved one leg to move the bassinet while I took care of the needs of the others, I felt something crawling down my back, and it was that girdle splitting. Well, do you know that girdle split, and my hose were hooked to it, and it fell off on the floor. you know, that didn't seem so very funny to me. I really don't know why you're laughing. But it fell off on the floor. But I won first prize. And the Lord taught me right then that my pride was going to be my #1 stumbling block. Do you have any pride?
Oh, not much.
Oh, you don't? Well, I do, and I still have to fight that because, you know, I still am self-centered. I like to be loved and needed and everything. But about this time, as I say, I was a social climber, and I didn't know that there was so much more. You see, I'd made Jesus Savior of my life, but not Lord of my life. And back in my church where I attended every Sunday, and I loved every minute of it, and I still love to go to church, a woman started praying for me in the choir. And you know, I got so mad I didn't know what to do when she told me she was praying for me. I didn't know I had a need. I didn't know I was like I was. I thought I was the nicest person I knew. I really did. I thought I was the nicest person I knew, and by far the cutest. And so she started praying for me and asked me where I went on Fridays, and I told her my social life, you know, was so busy I couldn't go anywhere else. I didn't want to go with her. She didn't dress right or couldn't play bridge as well as I did or anything like that. And so I ended up by going to my first prayer group, and I just thank God that she lured me there. It was a wonderful thing, but I was scared all the time, and I saw that I had needs that I was not aware of before. And I went to this prayer group for a while, and in the meantime, I became very ill. And I had many, many doctors tell me that I had an incurable disease. And I did. I just went all over where we lived and other places too. And one day I recall hearing my dear husband say, the doctor has just said there's no hope. She has no hope. And it just nearly broke my heart. You see, I didn't know that I didn't have the Lord because I had tried to pray all my life, but I didn't remember getting answers or anything. Well, anyhow, I started going to this prayer group, and about that time, you know, the Lord meets your needs in odd ways many times. I don't know, he just meets you where you are. Amen. And I've always found fun, even when I was dying, I see things, I see fun in it. And he just met my need right there. I wasn't invited to a party one time, and so I was so upset I didn't know what to do. And you see, I thought I was dying all this time, but I still like to go to the parties and everything. And one day, when I was at the end of my rope, I got down on my knees in my breakfast room, and I said, Lord, I'm a good woman. I pray. I work in the church. I do all these things, you know. Oh, and I just reminded him how wonderful I was and everything. And if you don't do something now, I'm through. And I meant it. And it's by the grace of God that he didn't knock me down dead, but instead he filled me with his love. It was just the most wonderful thing. I can still feel it today. It was a quiet, sweet thing. But you know, when I got off my knees, Dwayne, I was different. I don't know how I was different, but I knew that my daddy had taught me scriptures, and I'd been memorizing scriptures off and on all my life. But I knew that I knew. And from that minute on, I really started living. It was just the most fun of anything that has happened to me. It really was.
Well, tell me now, you mentioned here that you just received God's love in a very special way. Tell us more about this.
Well, I don't know. It's hard for me to describe. It wasn't a bright light or anything like cameras or anything else. It was just that there was a knowing that just came into my heart that just filled me. I felt like I was filled from the inside out with a love that I was not aware of. And all of a sudden, I knew that Jesus was still my Savior, but that I had not let him be Lord of my life. And then, about the time all of this was going on, I heard of a retreat, and my husband did too, and he wanted me to go. So I went to my very first retreat, and I thought, well, if I go there, Dwayne, and they pray for me, I'll get all right, and then I can go on about my partying and all those things that I enjoyed so much. But I went to this retreat, and I saw a miracle. Now, I know that we see miracles all the time, but I saw the first one that I could honestly say was a miracle for me. I had seen a woman who was not able to open her hands or anything during the week, and all of a sudden, when she went to the communion altar that night, she knelt at the altar, and she didn't ask a thing. She just said, Lord, I just want to give myself to you. And something like this, and I was listening, you know, around, because I never had heard anything like this. My daddy had warned me against anything kind of fanatic. Yeah. And I was listening to her so intently. She jumped up, and her hands straightened out. I nearly broke up the service. But do you know, I just knew that whatever God had for me was all right. And it still is. I don't care what. I still believe that it all works together for my good. But I came home, and I was still sick. Oh, but it's been the most exciting adventure of my life. It really has.
What, did you get hungry for fellowship? A new kind of fellowship?
That woman who prayed for me is the first one I wanted to see. Honest to goodness, and that made me mad. She was big and fat. She was lovely, and finally she started looking beautiful to me. You see, I was so self-centered. I was judging everybody, and now I can see that I was wrong all the time. But you know, I'd always gone to church. I just didn't know there was so much more. Oh, I'll tell you another thing that happened. I realized the scriptures I had committed to memory were real. I knew that when I got off on my knees, and I felt the love for the woman who had not invited us to that party. And I thought, I don't understand this. I ought to hate that woman. You know, she has left me out, and here I am so important and all that. And I felt, well, it's a love that, unless you've experienced it, you don't know what I'm talking about. But I know that I have a love for people that I've never had before. And instead of getting lessening as I grow older, it gets better. It gets better. I never forget this. I can be cooking, scrubbing, going to a party, and I love to go to parties. There's nothing I like any more than daytime parties for women. You know, I like to go out to lunch and all these things. But in all of this, underneath somewhere, I can always know that the Lord himself is guiding my steps, and that this, too, is part of that. It's not that I gave up anything. Now, some people gave me up. I didn't give up anything, but a lot of people gave me up because I was so interested in going to Bible studies and prayer groups, and I still am. I'd rather go to my Bible study than anything I do.
This is what, you know, I hope people are seeing here. You've been in this walk for how many years? Let's say 20 years or
A little longer.
Longer than that?
Yeah,
30 years?
Early, about 1953.
Okay. And it keeps on getting better and better is what I hear you say.
Last year, it just wasn't anything like it is now. What the Lord does the minute I get up in the morning. Now, I don't talk about it all the time. I learned that when all this first started happening to me, that my husband said one day, honey, maybe we ought to lock you up until you kind of cool down. And then after about 25 years later, he says, I still think we ought to lock you up. but it's fun. I love being married, and I love people. I really do, and I love the Lord. I know I laugh and cut up about it, but if I didn't have the Lord, if I didn't love the Lord, and if all of this weren't exciting to me, I'd give up. You know, Christianity is so exciting, Dwayne. I believe you already know that, though.
I think so.
It's the most fun, and my heart hurts because I know there are people my age and even younger who don't know that they don't know. They don't know this other dimension of fun. Well, maybe fun isn't the word, but it's exciting. It's exciting to know that the Lord is guiding my steps. And Bible study is more fun than the newspaper is not. It's just a bunch of hogwash compared to how exciting the scriptures are. And my friends feel the same way. The ones who know me best, the ones who really know me, you know, my faults and everything else. We all agreed that we wouldn't trade for $50 million.
Hold it, Edith. Hold.
What? I forgot. Yeah, I am supposed to hold.
Folks, I want to tell you, the life that Edith is talking about is the abundant life. She's found a joy in the Lord. That's just something else. And Jim, I know that are you going to sit on this one? Or
Yeah, I'm going to sing right here, I think.
What's the song you're going to sing? Tell us about it.
It fits right in with it. If it keeps on blessing and blessing, I don't know what we're going to do.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Okay.
That's a very good song.
Well, folks, I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. Here's Jim Fillingham.
If he keeps on blessing and blessing, and if he keeps on pouring it on, if his love just keeps getting richer, and he keeps on giving a song, if my cup gets fuller and fuller, if my prayers keep on getting through, if he keeps getting better and better, oh Lord, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Now when I gave my heart to Jesus, and when I claimed him as my king, that's when the gloom and fear was lifted. This old farmer just started to sing. Then the song just kept getting bigger, and it thrilled my soul through and through. If he keeps getting better and better, oh Lord, I don't know what I'm gonna do. If he keeps on blessing and blessing, and if he keeps on pouring it on, and if his love just keeps getting richer, and he keeps giving all of us a song, if my tub gets fuller and fuller, if my prayers keep on getting through, if he keeps it getting better and better, oh Lord, I don't know what I'm gonna do. If he keeps it getting better and better, oh Lord, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
First of all, we need to get back and tell the folks, did you get your healing?
Well, it was arrested. I'm still much alive. I really
You sure
am. And
are.
this has been years and years ago. But, you know, I'm grateful for that, Dwayne. Even though I would like to look just like everybody else and be tall and slender and attractive and everything, I'm grateful because I had no compassion whatsoever for sick people. I've never had a headache in my whole life. And, you know, I didn't have any sympathy or empathy with anyone who had a pain. And now, if someone is sick, I can feel for them. I know what they're going through. And I seem to know, even though I don't have all of the answers, I know where they can go. And I really believe in prayer. And I believe that God heals today directly or indirectly through the physicians. I know that he can do anything he wants to. But no matter how he does it, or if he decides not to, I know that he's so very real. And I thank God. I know that what happened to me is what I needed, just for me. I'm assured of that.
You made a statement a while ago about it. I never read, he gives the perfect parts.
Yes.
It's in the Word.
Oh.
What was that?
Well, I said the psalmist said he made all of my parts perfect in heaven. I'm the one who messed them up. Well, he did, Dwayne. He really did. He said all of your parts are perfect. You know, I didn't think that was very funny when I read it, and you seem to think it's awfully funny. But, you know, we can mess up our own lives by actions, and even unforgiveness messes us up spiritually. And then, too, the way we take care of our bodies, we put the wrong things in them. And I don't know if I made myself ill. I suppose it was because I was so unhappy because I didn't go to that party. I've always thought that my mental attitude at that time, because I thought I was going to have what people call a nervous breakdown over a silly little thing like a party. I didn't. But if I hadn't asked the Lord to come in, no telling what, I probably would have been locked up.
All that because you didn't get an invitation to the
Right. But that's what I needed. That's exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
And you know, there are a lot of people now who are hurt because they haven't been included in things. And we must always be careful, Dwayne, to include people in our conversations and places we go. I grieve for people who are left out, people who want to be loved and needed. That's the greatest thing we need to do is love one another. Even in our churches, we need to love.
You know, it amazes me at times that it's almost like you can hear heavy breathing, so to speak, around you if we're sensitive.
Yes.
To somebody that wants to be loved and heard and appreciated and receive God's love.
I just pray that I won't turn people off when I'm with them. You know, I have to kind of tone it down because I feel such joy inside. And, you know, when people are hurting, joy isn't always what they need. They need compassion and empathy. And sometimes it's a little hard for me. I have to kind of try to be sedate when that isn't my nature. It really isn't. I just have so much, I feel so joyful about what the Lord is doing in my life and the little things. Dwayne, do you know in the morning when I get up, I just tell him, here I am. I present my body as a living sacrifice. I walk early in the morning, too, for several reasons, to be healthy, and then, too, it kind of keeps me from being so fat. And I talk to the Lord when I'm walking around. Of course, I've already had my quiet time, but I want him to work in my life and really use my body as his instrument to see through my eyes and to feel through my hands and to love through me in a physical way that I can help, even if it's washing your dishes or helping your wife or something like this. I want to be available. I think I really do. That's the desire of our hearts.
You know, the Father just wants us to be available. We've got to go. We're running out of time.
Oh.
Bye-bye. And let me tell you, God really does love you, okay?
He really does. He really does.
The Lay Witness with Dwayne Lynch is supported by private contributions. Write The Lay Witness, Post Office Box 3550, Lubbock, Texas 79452. Your contribution will be greatly appreciated.
thank you for joining us this afternoon, and be watching for the next Lay Witness.